And this is take 3 of Redemption Bowl. So this was a glue up blank that I did 3 months ago. Initially had planned to make this blank and then turn it down to a bowl. However, I realized that the wood that I was receiving was wet and moist, lol. So basically, I dried this wood out for about 3 months. This is the glue up from 3 months ago. And after that epoxy resin disaster, I was like, you know what, we need to get back in the game. And boom! So we got it on the lathe, and we're like, there's no epoxy, this is all wood. This is cedar, and I think it said coffee wood on the grab bag when I opened up the box. So definitely cedar, and then the other wood is coffee. I don't even know if that's a real thing. It said COFF on the block of wood when I got it, and I was like, is there such thing as coffee wood? I don't know. Maybe there is. I'm not a very good woodworker, so it could be a thing. So we got it on the lathe, and I'm, taking down material. I'm doing really well on the cedar portion of it. The cedar portion, no problem, absolutely crushing it. And this coffee wood, I'm like, this thing is like hard as a rock. It's like worse than epoxy. Like I'm taking chips to the face, as you can see here. And this project had just as many problems, if not more, than the epoxy disaster that I had in my previous video. And sorry if I sound a little nasally, because actually I think I got the flu right now. Just been sucking down Dayquils, but getting some movement on the lathe. And so here we are. I got the tannin down, the size of the tannin. I'm like, okay, this tannin is built into this block of wood, so I'm like, I don't have to worry about it flying off the chuck jaws. So here I am, just basically getting it down to the nice shape that I want it. And again, you can see all the good material coming off the cedar portion of the bowl. And as soon as I cross over with my chisel to the, coffee portion of it, it just starts to catch really bad. So now I got it in the chuck jaws, and we're just working the wood, working that wood, baby, getting it nice and nice cylindrical type of wood. And I'm doing okay. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be successful in doing this, and I'm really taking my time. I'm not getting aggravated. I find that to be super important when you're doing woodworking on a lathe. If it's not going well, take your time, because if you try to just gouge it in there, it's just going to fly back at you, and it's not going to be good. So here we are. We're getting lots of material off now. I got that roughing gouge and really smoothing it out. It's going super smooth. Like in my head psychologically, I'm going, this is going to work out. This is going to be okay. And now we're almost done. I can, almost reverse it, just clean it up a little bit. It's looking real nice and smooth. I'm thinking, this is going to be amazing. So now we're doing the tannin for the bottom of the bowl. And I learned from my mistake last time, smooth the whole thing out, take your time, gouge out the center, make sure everything is nice and aligned, because if you don't have this very aligned, it's going to suck. So I made sure the tannin was deep enough to where I could reverse it on the chuck jaws and that it would stay. However, I'm going to find out later, spoiler alert, that was not a good idea. So then I got the Sawzall, and I'm just cutting down material. It didn't vibrate off the lathe, and I'm going to take my little handsaw, and boom, the blank is done. So now we can reverse it. So we got it reversed on the chuck jaws. This is where we earn our money. So then we start to gouge out the bowl. And the coffee wood, or whatever the hell kind of wood this is, hard as a rock, actually it was harder than epoxy. Like it was a really hard wood. And you'll see me at the end where I'm talking about whether or not my tools were sharp enough. And my tools were sharp. I sharpened everything because, oh, there it goes. So that was the first time it happened. So then kind of when it flies off the lathe like that, you kind of have to recenter everything, because I've gouged out the middle of the bowl, and I'm trying to get everything aligned, but you can see the wobble on it, and I'm like, son of a bitch at this point. I don't have enough, center of mass on it to gouge it out properly, and I'm going to have wobble the whole rest of the damn project because of that. And don't worry, it gets worse. So here I am, back to gouging it out. You can see there's a little bit of wobble in it, but I felt like I got it centered again after I took off some more material. I'm gouging it out. We're doing a great job. And just make sure the lip and everything is even, because by this time, the lip on the bowl isn't very even. And I'm doing good. And I start to be like, all right, it's going to be okay. Because here's the part where I'm like, boom, now I'm down to the cedar part. And what happened? You didn't see this in the video, but it fucking flew off the lathe. So you can see there that it chipped the bottom of the bowl, and the tannin on the bottom completely fractured. So then I had to take the jaws, the chuck jaws off, and center everything again and make another tannin for this bowl. And look at the material. Like, it's not the cedar. My tools are sharp because you can see, look at all the material that I'm getting off that cedar portion. And then I go over to the coffee part, and it's wobbling all over the place. At this point, I kind of want to throw it on the floor and say, fuck it. But I'm like, okay, just get it centered. It's still wobbled. And I'm like, okay. So I step back, got everything realigned on the lathe. And I'm like, okay, now we got to recenter it yet again and make another tannin. And it can't be the tools, because look at all the good material I'm getting off the cedar portion of it. The tools are sharp. It's just maybe the wood's just too hard, because I'm getting good material off. And here I am making this is like my 4th tannin in this project. And I'm realizing, I'm trying to save this bowl to where it's going to look like something, because I'm like, that two-tone effect looks really cool. So here we are, back in the chuck jaws. Look at that wobble. Horrible. So I got it wobbled back up. Got to center everything again. And look, same thing. Cedar going great. And this other mystery wood, not so much. Trying to smooth it all out. Trying to get it all even. Aggravated, thinking in my head, I'm just going to burn this lathe down. I don't have to put up with this. I'm a veteran. LOL. So, getting everything smoothed out yet again. And it's going pretty good. I'm like, okay. So here we are, back to gouging it out. And by this time, there's so much unevenness. And you can see it on the lathe with all the wobble. And I'm just basically, this took a tedious amount of time. You don't see the whole project in the video where I'm gouging everything out. But I had to go back in there with the gouge and everything and really get in there and chip everything down. So here we are, we're done. Just going to lather it up. And that wood wax, give it that nice shine and pop. Looks really good. Really proud of myself. Okay, so this was the salvage bowl, and it was not a good project, but I think we salvaged and redeemed ourselves enough to where it wasn't a complete horrible job. So, two-tone bowl looks really cool. There's the inside all polished up, nice and neat. Look at all that cool grain in there, man. So this thing flew off the lathe a couple of times. It super catchy on these. I don't think my tools are sharp enough. I'm pretty sure they are, but maybe they're not, or I don't know. So we built this one just to redeem ourselves. Look at that cool cherry in that. I think this is cherry. Fuck, I don't know. It's some kind of red wood. Look how awesome that is. But overall, it looks really cool. Really amazing. Really happy the way this turned out. I almost threw this down the floor a couple of times. Almost got really childish about it. But I don't know. We salvaged it. Because believe me, it had a lot of problems with it. But, I mean, overall, not too bad. So really happy with it. So that just means don't give up. This is just wood. Maybe we'll get back to epoxy someday. But overall, really happy the way it turned out. Really cool looking. Look at all that. Cool. So don't forget to subscribe. Button's right there, guys. Like the video. Share the video. All that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next project. Okay. Bye. Whoop.